Thursday, April 22, 2021. Coming to you live from the economic capital of Nigeria, Lagos. This is Breakfast Central.
Good morning. We are up bright and early as always. Welcome to Breakfast Central on News Central. My name is Olisa Chukuma.
Yes, indeed. We're set to give you breakfast the African style. My name is Oluchi Enobong.
Well, to all our viewers from across the continent of Africa and indeed the world, thank you very much for joining us. And here are headlines today.
Jacob Zuma to face court alone.
UN condoles up in the Chad, but opposition politicians reject Debbie's son.
Asylum to IPOB member is disrespectful, according to the Minister of Information.
And in sports, Mo exits from the European Super League, perhaps not so super anymore.
And in business, Amazon to open in South Africa.
All that and more coming on the program.
Kuna kallon News Central TV.
Well, many thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central this Thursday morning. We're going straight for our newspaper review, and Oluchi, we're beginning in Nigeria with the Daily Times.
All right, so with the Daily Times this morning, we have the mega investment in Arizona. That's what we can see in the Daily Nation this morning. You can also see in the Daily Times this morning, you can see 46 in over COVID funds. This is a very good story. You can see the police say more arrests is expected, according to the information we're getting from the Daily Times. You also have one more MP's seat falls vacant. You can see that and many more in the Daily Times this morning.
All right, so that's coming in from Malawi, the Daily Times from Malawi. Okay, we can now go to East Africa, to the Daily Nation in Kenya to see what they have for us this morning. No time to waste, all about outrage over fake BBI bill. Issues there for Raila Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta. Well, at the bottom there's all about the talks about Kim Wara, and firm seeks about 12 billion shillings for zero work, and at the top all about Kagwe goes for Pfizer and J&J, talking about vaccinations in the nation and Kenya. That's from the Daily Nation newspaper in Kenya.
All right, moving on to Namibia, we have the new era in Namibia, and of course you can see the headlines there. And Gengob shuffles his pack. You can see Kapofi gets defense and Klazen promoted. You also have the NBC workers to shut down tools countrywide today. This is happening in Namibia this morning. You also have stories about tattoo, and from what we have, this is tattoo could resolve serial rape puzzle. Interesting.
Wow. The map on someone's body, perhaps. All right, then. Thank you very much for that one. So that's a new era in Namibia. Let's come back to West Africa with a punch in Nigeria. Lots of stories, but was going with that one on the big headline there. It's all about IPOB and Masob Asylum. We'll be talking about that on the program later. It says, offer to protect those who need it UK replies, FG say offer protection to those who need it, and there's talk about the likes of an update on the Biafran separatists, shortly with the UK High Commission having a say there. And also a bit of Lagos roads, if you may, on the front page. Just wanted to punch some bad roads featuring on the front page, really littered. A couple of going into the rainy season, so that is quite expected. So there you have it for the stories this time from Nigeria, West Africa, The Punch.
All right, now let's bring you some of our top stories.
All right, Breakfast Central with Olisa and Oluchi making her debut on Breakfast Central.
So yeah, this is my first time, officially today, right? And
welcome.
I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this for a while now, and I've been watching you guys and I've been seeing everything that's been happening. But how does it feel having a new partner this morning?
Well, great, because my partner is just the best. Energy.
I can imagine,
punch.
sometimes village people feel pursue me, but that's just one of the ways you can just bring the spice to it all.
All right, so let's go straight to our top story. Now, it takes us to South Africa, where former South African President Jacob Zuma was dealt a heavy blow yesterday when his legal team withdrew from his fraud and corruption trial, which gets underway in less than a month. Now, the former statesman must appear at the Pietermaritzburg High Court on May 17th, where he faces charges of money laundering, racketeering, corruption and fraud.
All right, their withdrawal comes just 1 week after South Africa's Supreme Court of Appeal ruled that Zuma would have to pay for his own legal fees for the case, which have already tallied more than 25 million rand. We spoke earlier with South African editor and journalist Candice Bailey on what really happened. Take a look.
Well, Mabuza Attorneys, which is the firm that has been representing Jacob Zuma, filed a formal notice of withdrawal at the Pietermaritzburg High Court this morning, informing the court that they would be withdrawing as the attorneys of record on the matter. So we don't know at this moment why they've withdrawn from the matter. Eric Mabuza, who's the attorney in the matter, has...
I didn't understand that.
Eric Mabuza, the attorney, has told us that he refused to comment, and in fact, Jacob Zuma's spokesperson has also refused to comment. The National Prosecuting Authority has also decided not to comment on the matter. So that's what we know at this moment, Suleiman.
So at the moment, what does this mean for the former president?
Well, effectively, he loses his entire legal team, Suleiman. This includes his advocate and his attorney. It could be another delaying tactic on the part of Mr. Zuma, but the National Prosecuting Authority has indicated that they are ready to go to trial on May 17th. So he will have to get a new legal team. Within a matter of weeks. The trial starts in just about 3.5 weeks' time, and it's been set down for 6 weeks, which is quite a significant time.
Well, has it been established if the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, will be appearing on the same matter?
No, the president will not be appearing on the same matter. So this is mainly the trial of Jacob Zuma, where he's facing 16 charges of corruption, racketeering, money laundering, and fraud. And there are more than 700 allegations of impropriety that they are dealing with in this case. But it's really only Jacob Zuma who's appearing, along with the French arms company Thales.
All right, yes, so welcome back. And still on the stories we have for you this morning, UK to grant asylum to IPOB and MASUB members. Moving over to our next story, we have Nigeria. Here has described the decision of the United Kingdom to grant asylum to persecuted members of the indigenous people of Biafra, otherwise known as MASUB, a disrespect to Nigeria as a nation.
Now speaking was the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, who says the decision amounted to sabotaging the fight against terrorism and generally undermining Nigeria's security.
Joining us this morning is political analyst Collins Wenke. We also have Chukwuma Okenwa, Executive Director, Lead Network Africa. Good morning and welcome to Breakfast Central, gentlemen.
Thank you. Very good morning to you, Oluchi. And,
good morning.
Good morning, Collins. Good mornings to you too, Chukwuma Okenwa. Now, let's begin with you, Collins. What do you make of the decision by the UK government to grant asylum to prosecuted members, of IPOB?
I think it's important to place the decision of the United Kingdom in the right perspective. They are not actually saying that prosecuted members of IPOB will be indigenous people of Biafra, will be granted asylum. No. What they have done is provide a preemptive framework for applicants who feel prosecuted as a consequence of their activities around Biafra, who might come to the United Kingdom to seek asylum. Now, this is an advisory paper, a guideline from the government of the United Kingdom to the agency responsible for receiving and appraising asylum applications. Okay. It's called the country of origin information. So it contains all the information that they need to have to determine whether somebody merits the status of a refugee after applying for asylum in the United Kingdom.
Okay.
All right, Chukwuma, we know that the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, has called the decision a disrespect. Do you agree with him?
Minister, the fact remains that you banned the IPOB and declared them a terrorist group, of which that declaration do not follow the guidelines for recognizing or for tagging a group a terrorist group. Now, you didn't as well deem them for an amnesty program or a sort of safe corridor project, since the norm in Nigeria is that including terrorists can access. So there's none of such like greater than IPOB has been non-violent. And then you now have the people ready to offer a safe net for same persons that are persecuted, same persons you feel they are terrorists, and you are complaining that these are Nigerian citizens and the UK should not do anything without due consultation or with despising, by so doing is despising the sovereignty of Nigeria. But the first question to the Honorable Minister will be, before now, has the UK government reached out to Nigeria government to express concern on the way that the IPOB has been maltreated? And since that has been done, and the Nigeria government did not toe on the part of doing what is right, respect for human rights, which is a universal declaration for which Nigeria is privy to. Then, of course, the UK government reserves the right to create a subnet. And that's exactly what they have done, and it's commendable. All
right, Chukwuma, still sticking with you on this one. If we remember, on the 18th of September 2017, IPOB was proscribed as a terrorist group by an Abuja Federal High Court, even though that judgment generated a lot of controversy here in Nigeria. But in this situation now, what do you think the UK means by prosecuted?
Honestly, what they have done is just to show that beyond whatever thing we might think to do, because I believe that the Nigeria government using the court to secure judgment against IPOB, it's not right, because our constitution makes provision that everyone has right to self-determination. If as a citizen I'm part of the nation and I feel I am not treated right, the best thing that would have been done is to get us on the table. And since IPOB was proscribed the wrong way, and we see like the persecution and all the rest, killings, abuse of human rights, because don't forget, even if you proscribe a people and declare them a terrorist group, as citizens who you have not convicted of terrorist activities, they still reserve the right to be heard, which the government has not done. So if the UK government is now offering an opportunity at least to handle the basic issue that everyone that is human should be treated as human, that is basic thing. Beyond whatever thing may be because we can't even talk about a nation or its sovereignty without talking about the dignity of humanity. that makes up that particular sovereign nation. And that Nigeria have not respected. I mean, the nation is not just a geographical location.
Right.
It's all about the people. It's all about the interests that make up this great nation.
Okay.
Thank you very much. All right, moving on to callings. I just have one more question for you. Is there a message you think the UK is trying to send here? Talking about the message, what impact will this have on the relationship between the United Kingdom and Nigeria?
Yeah, I want to line up behind Chukwuma's assertion that the actions of the UK government is not disrespectful. If anything, I think it's an indictment on the government of Nigeria. Now, both the UK and Nigeria are signatories to the Geneva Convention that actually stipulates what has to happen for an individual who is fleeing persecution. And we need to be very careful about, the difference between persecution and prosecution. Now, if someone has been tried through the courts of law in Nigeria and prosecuted for a particular, crime, of course, that person under the tenets of the Geneva Convention will not be granted asylum. But if the person is fleeing persecution, if the person is being hunted by the government of Nigeria on the basis of his or her activities as a member of IPOB, of course, that is a different kettle of fish. So we need to be very careful about that. So in this case, I think we need to understand that the UK is acting right in keeping with its obligation towards the Geneva Convention to which it is a signatory. Nigeria, if anything, has flouted its obligations towards the international convention. And as a sovereign nation, you need to actually honor your obligation in the international order.
All right. Well, Collins, as always, breaking it down for us. Collins, you just have to stay on the line. I know there's talk about obligations, prosecutions and all that, but stay on the line, Collins. We still have you. But we want to thank Chukwuma Okenwa, Executive Director, Lead Africa Network, for joining us on Breakfast Central. Thank you very much, Chukwuma Okenwa. We hope to have you once again on Breakfast Central.
Thank you so much.
All right. Welcome back. Still Breakfast Central on a Thursday morning with Olisa and Oluchi. Still lots to run through. And this time, one of the big stories we've been following.
Exactly. Talking about Chad.
Yes.
All right, so now the Secretary General, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, has expressed condolences after the passing of President Idris Deby of Chad, who reportedly died after sustaining injuries during clashes with rebels in the north of the country.
Now, spokesperson for the Secretary General, Stefan Dujarric, says the situation in Chad is characterized by growing humanitarian needs linked to the conflict in the Lake Chad Basin, as well as the effects on climate change.
I was deeply saddened to hear about the passing of President Idris Deby of Chad this morning. He expresses his deepest condolences to the president, as well to the president's family, as well as to the people and the government of Chad. The situation in the country is characterized by growing humanitarian needs linked to the conflict in the Lake Chad Basin, as well as the effects of climate change. We, along with our partners, are continuing our operations in the country to assist impacted communities. The humanitarian response plan for Chad is seeking $617 million this year. To date, it's only 6% funded. We urge the international community to provide financial support to meet the needs of the people in need.
All right, so that was the spokesperson for the UN talking about Stefan Dujarric, speaking on behalf of the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres on their condolences to Chad after they lost their president. And we know that his son, Mahamat Idris Deby Itno, known as General Kaka, is the man in charge. We still have Collins Weke, who's a political analyst with us. Collins, we couldn't just let you go without getting your thoughts on the recent situation in Chad.
Well, it's another unfolding mess. The late president, in all the years that he's been in power, he has managed one way or the other to become a regional force to be reckoned with. Irrespective of whether or not democracy or anything resembling democracy is taking place in Chad. He has been seen to help in preserving regional security, considering the strategic position of Chad in the Africa region. Now, it is a mess, of course, too, that his son, amongst all other options, all other possibilities, was slated or has actually been sworn in to succeed him. Now, I think it is to be expected that doesn't actually make the situation better. As we have seen, the rebel forces have flatly rejected him. And now, the young man himself has more or less started well by actually announcing that he is committed to organizing a democratic election, that he is simply a transition president. Let us hope that that becomes the case, that he respects his own commitment, his own word. But yeah, I don't know. It's it's the never-ending story of Africa sliding deeper and deeper into self-created mess.
All right, thank you very much. We're also joined by News Central correspondent Abdinol Aden. Abdinol, it's been barely 3 days since the news of the death of the president of Chad broke. What's the latest update in Chad as we speak?
Well, thank you so much. For now, the preparations for the burials of the late President Idris Deby is currently ongoing. The other thing is that the Speaker of Parliament has also given the military council led by Mohammed Faki, son of the late president, to continue with the operation and lead the country. The opposition themselves, however, they say they do not support a dynastical change of the country's leadership.
All right, Abdin, do we still have you back on the line? Okay, coming to you now, Collins. You just heard the words from Abdin about the opposition not wanting to have a dynastic leadership, the dynasty of Deby, basically. Now, Collins, as a public affairs analyst, what do you make of the army appointing Mahamat Deby as the interim head of state?
It's completely wrong because indeed Chad is supposed to be a democracy, not a dynasty. A situation where the son of a late president is crowned interim president is actually pouring fuel into fire. There is no way that action could be expected to appease those on the other side of the negotiating table for as long as negotiation is taking place. So yes, the pronouncements of the opposition party is to be expected, and of course the reaction of the rebel forces as well. I believe that they should have done better. There are 1,001 talented individuals within Chad to have occupied that position, but it also tells us something about the state of succession planning in Africa in general.
Okay.
The son wasn't the vice president, and so there should have been better alternative than one that brings the country more into turmoil.
All right, Colin, still on this same subject matter, we hear that Saleh Kebzabo, who is the leading opposition voice, has called for a dialogue to discuss a route forward and for fresh election. Now, the opposition also emphasized that Chad is not a monarch. How do you think this will play out in the coming days? Do you even see an election happening anytime soon?
Well, the opposition leader has acted honorably. He has done what the opposition is meant to do, which is oppose, but not just oppose. He has, tendered himself as a constructive national leader. Not very much, is known about his, antecedents, but as far as his actions regarding the ongoing, crisis is concerned, I believe that he has done what he needs to do. Now, I must also say that the incoming president has actually started off well by making the right pronouncements to the effect of a democratic election taking place, making it clear that he is basically holding forth as a transition president. That is good, but considering the reaction of the opposition leader, I believe or I hope that they will match words with action and actually follow through to see that an election takes place, because that is what Chad needs at this time.
Interesting one there, Collins. And I need to bring Abdin back on this one, because we know that the government and the parliament have been dissolved, the constitution suspended, and just yesterday the borders were reopened and overnight curfew eased, slightly. Now, Abdin, do you think, that the army will accede to returning the country back to civilian rule? Because let's face it, Kaka Debi is a military man.
I think one reality that I don't see many analysts speaking about, and especially in the African continent, is the fact that the late President Idris Deby is the one who brought multipartyism back to Chad in 1993 after he took over power. The other thing is that despite the opposition calling for going against the current decision, two key people or two key players in Chad also have to be, listened to. That is the speaker, Haroun, as well as, the prime minister, who is Albert Fahimi. The two of them are calling for national security and the sovereignty of the country. And 18 months is not a long period, because I think it's a year and a few months. So what really people are hoping for is a Chad that is not going to turn into tensions and violence, because the African Union chairperson, Mohamed Faki, is the former foreign minister of Chad. It's not about when elections will be held or whether elections will be held. It's about how the country will overcome the sudden change and death of its leadership.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. Collins Weke, political analyst, also regular on Breakfast Central, and our Africa correspondent, Abdino Adin. Welcome, guys. Thank you very much again, guys, for joining us.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Right. Bye-bye. Ooh. Wow, that was quite a lot.
Yes, it was. Listening to Abdin on what he had to say. Because over the last few days we've been seeing a lot of people, the citizens there, they've been trying to buy and stock up food stuff because nobody can really tell how the days will go. Let's just see how it unfolds.
Quite a tense one in that country. All right, still Breakfast Central. Coming up next on the program.
Amazon to open in South Africa.
Well, what's trending in the continent of Africa? We'll let you know.
And of course, outside Africa, more to come.
News Central TV.
Thanks for sticking with us. You are still watching Breakfast Central, and you can also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are on Twitter at News Central TV, also the same for Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Watch us on StarTimes channel 274.
Let us bring in our business editor, Nas, for the latest updates in business. Hello, Nas. We hear that Amazon is moving to Africa.
Yes, Oluchi. Amazon has concluded plans to open its African headquarters in South Africa with a real estate investment of over 4 billion rand. Now, authorities in Cape Town said that Amazon could occupy a new development in River Club as a prime section of the city. Local media has given us that much information. Now, this prime real estate is a whopping 15-hectare parcel of land that will cost 4 billion rand. Now, authorities said that the first 60 square meter would occupy a different layer of development, while the second section of 70,000 now will hold Amazon headquarters in Africa. Now, over 5,000 direct construction jobs and 19,000 indirect jobs are expected to be created due to the move. Now, Business Tech has reported of late. Now, Amazon said that its web engineering giant AWS has already started work in South Africa over the years, but the main e-commerce service has yet to start on the continent. Now, the announcement comes a week after Twitter picked Ghana for its first African office and headquarters. Now, Twitter said that Ghana's democracy and economic strides made the West African country the prime choice over Nigeria, Kenya, and, of course, South Africa.
All right, Naz, this is quite important. You just mentioned Twitter, who clearly have moved into Nigeria's backyard, so to speak. No pun intended to my Ghanaian brothers and sisters, Ghana. And now we have Amazon. Naz, I wonder where this is all playing out. Where is this all going?
Well, it just shows that some countries have different edges over the other. Now, a couple of years ago, not too long ago, Facebook came to Nigeria. But this time around, Ghana is where Twitter chose, basically because of the liberal culture there. Now, free speech is paramount for Twitter. That's one of the main reasons why they chose Ghana. Now, another reason which most Nigerians are aware of is the constant power supply. Now, doomsday, we know, is what led to a president being voted out of office. And Ghana, we know, relatively has a stable power supply, better than Nigeria.
All right, so, but what does it really mean generally? Because Amazon, clearly the biggest, one of the biggest companies in the world, owned by one of the richest men in the world. Now, coming to South Africa and all these projections for the hectares and square meters of land that will require, do you see this as perhaps job opportunities or perhaps just more capitalism, for these big Western tech giants?
Categorically, yes, it will create more jobs. Looking at it from this angle. Now, from building the site itself, many South Africans will be employed. Now, even running the operations.
Thank you very much, Nasser Agbalaya, our business editor, for giving us the context in this one. So, Amazon.
So, Lisa, you see, Twitter is in Ghana, right? Amazon is now in South Africa. Don't you think something big is coming to Nigeria? Because my village people, they talk, say, turn by turn. I think we reach your turn.
Many might say we've had ours. Facebook, Google, you have the tech hub in Yaba, which clearly has been quite busy for many tech startups in Nigeria, has been, very, very good. So the fact that Amazon would clearly have one of the, richest men in the world, for them to look at South Africa as a market. Yes, if we talk about infrastructure, we also have this power cut in South Africa, this, load shedding they're calling due to ESCOM issues. So it's not only Nigeria that has infrastructural deficits, so to speak, but we'll have to see where this is all going.
But when you weigh them country by country, a lot of people have come out to say it's quite expensive establishing a business in Nigeria. When you're talking about the electricity, talking about the running costs, logistics, so many things you need to consider before you actually decide to come to Nigeria to invest heavily. But I'm quite hopeful because, this is bringing about 24,000 jobs. That's 5,000 direct jobs and 19,000 indirect jobs. This is a very good opportunity for people in South Africa.
I really wonder what Nigerians, make of it. I think that's one of the interesting ones we'll be trying to follow, because the Twitter Ghana really caused a spat. Now that Amazon is coming, it looks like it's nobody wants to make any noise, right? To South
We're
Africa.
just chilling. We're chilling. See?
All right, let's go straight to some sports for you. Now, this morning on Breakfast Central, it's been quite a busy last 24, 48, 72 hours, and we'll let you know all about that right now. All right, then, let's go to some sports now. We'll start on the continent with the CAF Confederations Cup results. Quite important ones played yesterday on the continent. So there you have it for the results. Very, very busy clubs for football matches and away victories, particularly for the likes of Raja Casablanca, who won away against Namongo 3-0. The same group with Premis FC away to Nkana, 1-0. But for Orlando Pirates at home against Algeria's ES Setif, 0-0 it finished. Cotton Sport of Cameroon losing 1-0, 2-1 at home to GS Kabylie of Algeria. The likes of Bakane and Napster Stars, 1-0 for Napster. DRF against Etoile du Sahel, 1-0 victory over Etoile du Sahel. Salitas losing against CS Sfaxien of Tunisia. So there you have it. There'll be one match today in the CAF Confederations Cup, and this involves Nigeria's Eyimba of Abad International, the Elephants. They go to face Al Ali Benghazi of Libya. So an away match for them. Now, away from the continent, I'm sure you must have been following the story of the drama of what they've called the European Super League. Is it so super after all? You've had 6 English clubs, boycotting, and 3 more clubs, the likes of Atletico Madrid, Inter Milan, AC Milan, all pulling off. But our sports editor, Oluchi Enobong, has been speaking with AB Global Sports correspondent Rob Harris to tell us more on the matter.
Why did they, despite the backlash initially, decide to go with the decision to join the ESL?
It was all the money. And some of the statements last night make that clear. Chelsea said they were only joining up, they only joined up with it last week. Tottenham talked about, the chairman Daniel Levy, about the financial opportunities from it. And you got the sense they didn't want to miss out.
Do we see this idea of a European Super League coming up again in the future?
Absolutely so. It's going to keep on coming up when clubs want to threaten UEFA in a sense to try to extract more money out of them and more control. The question is whether or not the way this time it's been so toxic, it's blown up into such a huge issue that it actually stalls the threat, but perhaps a few more years because, and actually we go through a longer period and it actually some more stability. But clubs are going to want to chase more wealth, chase more control, and that's where we lead to things like the Super Leagues, where they want to be in control of their destinies.
All right, so there you have it. It's really fallen apart in terms of the European Super League. How many teams are left off because everyone is pulling away. So there you have it. It looks like it's not going to be happening. There'll be more sports and more on that, especially from the African, look of things about do we like it, do we not like it, on In the Game much later on News Central.
All right, so coming up next, we have Trend Wave.
Right there, still Breakfast Central, Olisa, and yes, his new partner, I'd like to put that, Oluchi, in the studio for you. Trend Wave, straight we go, and we have Lizzie Musa to tell us what's the latest in terms of the trends around the African continent. Take it away, Liz.
Good morning, Olisa. Good morning, Oluchi. I can call you guys the O2 team or whatever it is, right? Good morning. Welcome to Trend Wave. Firstly, on Trend Wave today, we have lots of things trending as always on the continent because social media space, everybody's free to say whatever they want to say. And we'll take a look at what's trending in Nigeria. The calls for Nigeria's Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Ali Pantami, to resign over his past extreme religious views continues as the 48-year-old, for the first time on Saturday, acknowledged his past views, but said he has since renounced those radical comments. However, like they say, social media never forgets. So the minister blamed his past radical leanings on age, immaturity, and limited knowledge. But what is social media saying about this? Nobody wants to agree. Everybody's like, no, how would you say it's age when you're in university? Definitely it's not age. More people on social media are now calling for him to resign with the hashtag Pantami resigns. His critics said his views cannot be blamed on age and whatnot. So those are the trends we have in Nigeria today. We have Pantami, we have J Niger, we have Thursday morning Tolani Bad, congratulations. And that's a tweet from 2T22 which says Pantami's crimes are instigating a mob to murder a student and instigating a mob to prevent Christian staff from entering office and declaring support for Osama and Al-Qaeda, declaring support for cleansing of Christians, shared the plot to assassinate a sitting gov. All that's trending. Let's move on to the next tweet where someone says this is no longer about Dr. Issa Pantami. It's now about the person who said, I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody. That definitely is Buhari. And it says Pantami isn't going to resign. Well, we'll take a look at what happens as time goes on. Let's take a look at other tweets from the social media space. Now, this is from Mazik Buruburu. It says, I was shocked to my bone marrows when 2 days ago, a Southern Kaduna intellectual was defending Pantami on this street. That's the Twitter street. It has now been alleged that Pantami presided over a meeting whereupon it was decided to eviscerate the said intellectuals people from God's green earth. I don't know what that is about. Lots of things going on the trends right now. Let's see some other tweets on this hashtag.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Let's check out what's coming up next.
Thank you. Thank you, Olisa. Thank you, Oluchi.
Still about the European Super League, not so super.
Central ni ẹ̀ ń wò.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. This is still Breakfast Central on News Central TV. It's time to take a look outside the continent of Africa. Johansson is here to do that for us on Outside Africa. Good morning to you, Johansson. Hey.
Good morning, guys. Good to see you guys. And Oluchi, welcome to the breakfast. It's good to have you here this morning. Well, we're talking outside Africa. First of all, you cannot talk outside Africa without talking about football, no doubt. And it's still about the European League that's actually faced a sudden demise. It came up, it made so much noise, everybody thought it's going to happen, and all of a sudden, it goes down. But aside from that, let's also tell you another story. It's a sad story. A police officer in Columbus, Ohio, on Tuesday shot a teenage girl while responding to reports of an attempted stabbing. The girl, identified by family members and Franklin County Children's Services as Micaiah Bryant, was age 16, and she was taken to the hospital where she was pronounced dead. It's a sad story. Micaiah Bryant lived in a foster home and got into an altercation with someone at the home. According to her aunt, Hazel Bryant, her niece had a knife. but maintained that she dropped it before the officer actually shot her. On the screen, you can see that's Micaiah. She was full of life, playful, and so on. We want to play you that video. That's the body camera from the officer, but I must warn you that the footage you're about to see can be disturbing. So let's take a look at this. From the footage, you can see that there was the altercation, there was a fight, and that is exactly what happened. Now, this is actually coming from the Chauvin story. Remember that the United States are actually celebrating the victory, the verdict, and then this happens again. So everyone is actually confused. What's going on? People don't really know what to do, and then this is another story as well. But moving away from the United States of America, Russia is also another big story. Now, Russian President Vladimir Putin has called on his foreign rivals not to cross the red line, he says, with Russia during his annual address to the nation yesterday. Hours before pro-Navalny protests were to be held across the country, Putin said some countries blame Russia as a kind of sport, although he did not reference the big issues, okay? He didn't talk about the one and big story that everyone is rioting for, but he says they are pitting him against the US and also the EU. Western countries have warned Moscow that it is held responsible for jailed critique Alexei Navalny's health and threatened further sanctions should his health deteriorate. And I bet you know that Alexei Navalny is not doing too well. There have been calls that he should actually leave detention and go get treatment outside of Russia. But Putin, he is not talking about that story at all in this press briefing. So these are some of the stories that are making headlines outside the continent of Africa, guys.
Well, thank you very much, Joe. From the latest in the sound in the US to the Iron Curtain, as it were, in Russia. Well, coming up later today on News Central TV. All right. Well, it's been quite an interesting day for coverage of news around the continent and beyond.
I have. I mean, I'm super excited for South Africa at this point in time, looking at the opportunities they have and the employment opportunities that will be made available. All right, you can join at Tolu Adelere Balogun, 11 a.m. on Business Edge later today.
Yes, indeed. And there will be sports at 10:30 a.m. in the game. You don't want to miss that.
And of course, you have Business Edge still by 11, like I said, and beyond the continent, this will be by 1 p.m. West African time.
Right, then, it's been quite an interesting one today on Breakfast Central. Thursday, the 22nd day of April 2021, and a debut for, yes, Oluchi right here in the studio of the program.
Oh, you know, it's funny how the month is running so fast. We're, what, 22nd day in the month of April? Oof. I'm getting super excited.
So how would you say your first day has been?
I think on a scale of 1 to 10, I think I did like a 7. Not so bad.
Are you excited?
But I've been super excited, yes. Enjoying the flow, enjoying the different content, and looking at how rich News Central is in general.
Yeah, I'm sure you're bringing more for us, especially when it comes to the
local side.
Well, that's our package on the program. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be with you again tomorrow, same time. On behalf of the crew, the breakfast team, we say have yourselves a wonderful Thursday. Bye-bye for now. Bye.
See ya.